So you want to learn how to build a bioactive tank. Well, let's get into it. Now before we get started building our 12 by 12 by 18 bioactive setup, there's a few ingredients that, well, you're gonna need. First, you're going to need some hydro balls or hydroponic clay pebbles. After that, you're gonna need window screen and mesh. That's gonna be very important for dividing drainage layer from your substrate layer. Then, well, of course, you're gonna need your substrate layer. So now that we've talked substrate, you're gonna need some plants and some cork. Your cork is going to be very beneficial for your animal, for your isopods, and for your plant. And then after that, any other additional decor. Another one I like to include in a lot of my setups is moss. Moss helps give a green pop to your enclosure, so definitely get some pillow or sheet moss to add as well. Step number one in building your bioactive setup is your hydro balls. These hydro balls are going to simply act as a drainage layer. So we're going to go ahead, open up our cage here. Open up our hydro balls, and we're going to pour this whole bag in. You want a pretty decent layer of hydro balls. You don't want one ball across the whole layer. So go ahead, pour in your hydro balls. Just like so, and boom. They may run off a little dusty at first, but that's no big issue at all. Next things next, you're going to need your mesh. This is very important, as I said, to divide your substrate from your hydro balls. You don't want the two to mix, so make sure to add a good layer of window screen just like this right here. Alright, we're going to go ahead, add our mesh here. As you can see, it fits in really nicely to all four corners of the cage without an issue, just like so. Press it down flat. Now that you've done that, you're almost halfway done with your bedding. Now you just got to add your main substrate layer. Go ahead, take your bag of jungle mix or whatever other bedding you decide to use. You're going to pour in that bag of bedding, just like so. Pour it all in there. Now that you've gotten a pretty thick layer of dirt, mesh, and hydro balls down, it is time for your cork and other materials. Next things next, you're going to take your pieces of cork and add them to your enclosure. It doesn't really matter how you start, just add them in and get a different visualization of how it'll look in your cage. We're going to kind of just go around, put in different pieces and see what looks best. We've got this bigger piece here. We may use that guy. That'll help give us a good mound, just like so. We've got a really nice round piece. We may put that guy in there somewhere. Just depends. And boom, I think we've got a pretty good setup established. So we've got our mound here, we've got a piece of cork here, and a piece of cork here. After that, we're going to add some leaf litter onto the different cracks and crevices. Go ahead, take your bag of leaf litter, open it up. You can also add the leaf litter before you put in the cork. That's simply up to you. But go ahead, pile your leaf litter up just like so. Drop some into the spaces if you need to. Even sprinkle some of your leaf litter here on to the cork itself. Now that you've gotten your general cork setup established, I'm just going to move this piece back here because we're going to allow space for us to put a plant. Once we put that plant there, then we'll put that piece right back where it was. We've got a large variety and number of different plants, and keep in mind you don't have to use them all right away. We're going to take this guy here. I really like the look of this plant, and we're probably going to put him somewhere back here. So let's do that right now. Now that we've gotten that guy planted right over there, we're going to go ahead and maybe add some more plants in different spaces. It just depends on where we think looks best. Now keep in mind, you want your cage to have a 3D appeal to it. You do not want it to be just one-dimensional, flat, all the way across the back. You want it to poke out at you, and that is what the cork is used best for. Now we're going to add this beautiful plant here, and what we're going to do is we're going to separate some of the spots and place it throughout the cage. So instead of using this one whole plant in one spot, we're going to make a little bit more use of it, and we're going to separate each of these little pieces here. Now at this point your cage should be coming along nicely like this one is, but there's a lot of gaps and cracks here that are still showing. That means it's time for our moss to come into play. So go ahead, open up your little tray of moss, and then go ahead and add your moss into the gaps, cracks, and or crevices. What you're going to do is you're going to keep repeating this process of adding moss to the cracks and crevices of your cage until you're happy with the turnout. And boom, look at how that guy looks now. So much better than it did before. Now remember, you can always change the looks of the cage. It doesn't have to stay just like that. All of these cork pieces here are adjustable. And then for a more three-dimensional effect, don't forget to add your branches into the cage. Now did you know that your plants in that cage right there need water? Yeah, they need water. So yeah, being that they need water, we're going to go ahead and spray down our cage here. Make sure to really soak your plants in the cage, especially after they've been moved to a whole new setup. And now once you've done that, you're pretty much done. The next thing is to put your lid on top, put a light on top, add isopods, and admire your enclosure. In my opinion, admiring your enclosure is the best part after building such an awesome cage.